The 53-man roster might have been due yesterday, but don't be surprised if the Commanders are still upgrading their roster ahead of another important deadline. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Full Command Show. My name is Grant Mitchell, and we are here to talk about everything involving the Washington Commanders. Before we jump into any of our news today, I did want to start on a more serious note. I wanted to say rest in peace to Rick Snider, a well-known journalist who covered sports teams in D.C., including the Redskins, later the football team, later the Commanders. Rick had been a journalist since 1978. He covered a bunch of teams. He worked with the Washington Post, among other entities. He unfortunately suffered a stroke on August 11th. He was never able to recover from that, and he did end up passing away yesterday. So rest in peace to Rick Snider. Thoughts and prayers to those who are affected by his passing. The Commanders put out a statement honoring Rick. They said, quote, "On behalf of the entire Commanders organization, we want to offer our condolences to the family and friends of Rick Snider, who passed away today. Rick was a consummate professional who covered the franchise with class for over 40 years. His combination of tremendous knowledge of the game, understanding of the franchise's history, ability to connect with people from different backgrounds, and his quick wit made his coverage unique and compelling. Rick was a great man and an absolute joy to be around. His presence on the Commanders beat will be sorely missed." So once again, rest in peace to Rick Snider. Now that we've covered that, let's go ahead and let's talk about what we got to look forward to in today's contract. Some more updates from Terry McLaurin. How is he handling the news of his new extension? And are there any long-lasting negative effects from his holdout? Brian Robinson speaks about his trade to the San Francisco 49ers, some position groups that could be updated ahead of a 1 o'clock deadline today. Guys, we do have all of that coming up in this video. So before we get into it, do me a favor, hit the like button. That is the number one way you can support me and this channel. Hit the subscribe button if you are new around here. And apologies if as we go through this, I need to take a break for some water. Currently battling a sore throat, so I'm going to see if I can power through it for you guys. Also, one more bit of housekeeping. Today is the day that I do leave for Georgia. I've got a wedding to attend this weekend. I will probably still be able to get at least one video every day. That being said, not sure how many multiple daily uploads we're going to get. And also on Saturday, I would say might be a day that's in danger, which is unfortunate. But hey, you got some great college football games to keep you entertained. So hopefully my presence isn't that sorely missed. So let's officially jump into the video here today. So we are still waiting for more details on Terry McLaurin's contract, the 3-year max $96 million deal that he did sign. It makes me feel with the more time as the more time passes and we have still no new information about guarantees, fully guaranteed money, all that stuff, it does lead me to believe that the deal is slanted more in a team-friendly way, at least in terms of the guarantees. But that being said, I don't know. That's just pure speculation. It would seem to me that the 0 point for this would be right about $60 million guaranteed money. Anything more would be a Terry 1 side of the coin. Anything less would be the team 1. That's $60 million number. That is what DK Metcalf is going to get through 3 years on his deal. His deal is for 4 years, so he's getting $80 million guaranteed, but $60 million guaranteed. DK got $33 million a year. Terry got $32. So we will see how this works out, how this shakes out. But if this was slanted in Terry's favor, I have a feeling just when the numbers were released originally that someone in his team also would have put out the guarantees. But that is just pure speculation. Can't prove that at all. And I could be totally wrong. So once again, we will keep an eye on it as the situation continues to develop. The Commanders put out a video on their social media platforms celebrating McLaurin's extension. He reposted it on his X/Twitter account and said home with a heart emoji. So Terry's still feeling good. There are questions about if some of his, I don't want to say how bought in he is to the team, but just when you have that long-standing negotiation and the tensions flare and the relationship starts to fray, it's not going to immediately be a day one situation where he's back in, he's 1,000% fully bought back into this team. But that being said, Terry also, even this trade request, it never seemed real. He never really wanted to leave this franchise. So I'm just hoping that all parties are able to bury the hatchet and put it behind them. This locker room has great leaders with Bobby Wagner and Zach Ertz and Von Miller and Austin Eckler and all these guys. But if you need any evidence of how important Terry is to that locker room, go watch his speech before that playoff game against the Lions. What he's saying, what they're going to say about your name, what they're going to say about your reputation. It's one of the most moving pregame speeches that I've heard. And Terry's not a very vocal guy necessarily. In the locker room he is, but he's not putting himself out there like that. But that was a very riveting speech and certainly meant a lot to the team. And you saw what they did after he delivered that speech. They went out and they absolutely creamed the Lions. So hopefully Terry and everybody is all 100% good now that this extension has been sorted. Today, Wednesday, is an important day for the team. Obviously, like I said at the start of this video, the roster cuts were due yesterday, but practice squad and waiver claims must be finalized by 1 o'clock today. So new players still going to be coming into town for the Commanders, whether they're joining the 53-man roster, whether they're joining the practice squad, whatever, we will wait and see. But there could definitely be some new talent on its way to DC. Dan Quinn and Adam Peters will speak to the media at around 3:45 this afternoon before practice, where they will field questions as always. I assume a lot of people are going to be asking them about things like, why did you only keep 5 wide receivers? Is Sam Hartman coming back as a practice squad quarterback? A lot of stuff like that. So hopefully we get some more updates there. If I can post, actually, I'm just thinking about it. I'm probably not going to get in until 11 or midnight tonight. So I don't think I'll be able to get you an update on those quotes today. But depending on if there's anything good enough, then maybe tomorrow morning we will rehash some of those quotes. Position groups to watch today. Receiver. The Commanders kept 7 receivers on their first 53-man depth chart last year, guys, all the way down to Byron Pringle. This time around, they only kept 5. So I'm fully expecting them to add another receiver on in this waiver process. Now, the Commanders are 29th in order, so they're not going to get some high priority claims. If the next 24 hours pass by and you're like, wow, that was really underwhelming, I'm really disappointed by what the Commanders did. Again, don't forget, they're picking 4th to last out of everybody, so they don't have high priority. So don't be expecting the best possible guys available, but there are still, I mean, when there's 20, 30 players getting cut from every team in the league, there's going to be some good talent available. So hopefully the Commanders are able to score on who they pick. I do expect them to add to the wide receiver. Like I said, Marquez Valdez-Scantling is a guy that's available. Malachi Corley, Tyler Boyd, a couple of players, Hunter Renfrow, guys like that are still available. Linebacker could be a position group to watch because Jordan McGee, as much as the coaching staff seems to love him, he hasn't really been able to get on the field. Seems like he might be a little bit injury prone. It might be early in his career to set that narrative, but still that's what we've seen up to this point. Kane Medrano is raw. Ale Cajo was Medrano's teammate at UCLA, and he was a UDFA. That shows that the hype that he has. He impressed in the preseason, don't get me wrong, but is he ready to be a constant contributor to this team? Just look for linebacker. A guy like Chris Paul Jr., who was coming out of Ole Miss. He was a 5th-round pick this year. Did not even make, I believe it was the Rams, did not make the Rams roster. So could a guy like that be on his way to DC? Could they show a level of interest in him? Maybe. It's possible. And if you think you would have, 7 linebackers at that point, Luvu and Wagner are established. Ballard's your special teams guy. So now you've got 4 with McGee, Medrano, Ale Cajo, and Chris Paul Jr. It's like, can one of these guys hit? Well, it's just a numbers game at that point. So you're hoping that you can get a 25% success rate. But just someone like that, a young player like that, or an established veteran, I don't know. But point being, linebacker, I think, could be upgraded. Defensive line, I didn't write down any names because, honestly, I got tired of looking at the 900 names of released players, and there's just a million defensive linemen that have been released. But with them only keeping 4 defensive tackles, with Javonte Jean-Baptiste not being the most guaranteed pick in the world rushing the quarterback, also Eddie Goldman not having the best preseason, that could be a group that they look to upgrade. And then I also put center with a question mark in my notes here because the offensive line depth is really good. That does not include center. Nick Allegretti is the backup center, and Nick Allegretti can play in a pinch, or he's probably going to start the season at right guard. But I had heard that his snaps during training camp were not going very well. So maybe you bring in an actual center who you have some faith in. A guy that I highlighted is Seth McLaughlin. You might remember him from Ohio State. He was released by the Bengals. If you can stash him on the P squad, I don't see why you wouldn't. It's a young guy who played for a good program, and maybe he can develop into something and be a reliable backup center. I felt uncomfortable with the idea of rostering Michael Dieter because he's not some young player, and we've seen him play, and he did not perform very well. But with McLaughlin, it is a young guy who you could give some time to, give some reps to, and elevate him on an as-needed basis, or maybe just if one of your starting tackles or guards or backup tackles or guards isn't impressing and you feel like there is a need for a backup center, you could elevate McLaughlin or whoever it is out there that you are interested in. If you're going to be going to Commanders games this year and years beyond, then be on the lookout for some new food upgrades. We're really getting into it here. If you're not going to any games, then honestly, just skip this part. I'm not going to hold you. Hot dogs are now Vienna beef from Chicago. Chicken tenders are larger. Waffle fries are available. That's cool. They have W-shaped pretzels, which I'm probably going to try because I love pretzels and beer cheese. Oh, I think there's nothing better in the world. There's also a new signature spice called Ray's Hail. I have no idea what Ray's Hail tastes like. I thought it was just a little hashtag, a little slogan for this team, but apparently it is now edible as well. So I'm going to be at that week 1 game, and I promise to come back with a report on what Ray's Hail tastes like because I can't conceptualize it at this point. Also, something that's pretty cool, the restaurant's District Taco and Marvin's Chicken Sandwich will be inside the stadium for the first time. Marvin's was a mainstay on 14th Street in DC, but it had to close during COVID, so cool to see them popping them back up in the Commanders Stadium. Before we get on out of here, a couple of quotes from ex-Commanders. First one from Brian Robinson Jr., who, as we know, was traded to the San Francisco 49ers for a 2026 6th-round pick. Here's what B-Rob had to say. Quote, the last week or two has been a bit unusual. I have the same goals I set 3 or 4 months ago, and they stay the same. I'm ready to do my thing. My job is to complement Christian McCaffrey as best I can. We are going to be the best duo in the league. Who is the best duo? It's got to be Gibbs and Montgomery, right? Because that's kind of the model that everybody seems to be basing their backfield off of. I'm just doing a quick scan. I want to make sure that I don't miss anybody. I'm not seeing anybody. I think it's Gibbs and Montgomery. I think they hold that title. If I'm overlooked a team, please go to the comment section and let me know. But I think, I'll be honest, I think B-Rob and C-Mac can challenge them for that title. B-Rob as a number 2, when he goes against weaker defenses and he's a little fresher and he's just wearing the defenses down, kind of like David Montgomery does, then you can open up potentially some explosive plays for Christian McCaffrey, who did C-Mac win Offensive Player of the Year a couple of years ago? He was certainly in the running, one of the top. I feel like he had to have won it. So if McCaffrey can stay upright, if he can stay on both legs for 17 games, then yeah, they have a chance to be the best running back committee in the league. Maybe not better than Bill and C-Rod. Wouldn't that be something? That'd be pretty cool. But yeah, I agree with B-Rob. And as I've said numerous times, I wish him the best. He didn't do anything wrong here. Just because the Commanders wanted to go in a direction of looking for more explosive players it doesn't talk down about what B-Rob did or how he handled himself, how he carried himself, and how professional he was. So shout out to B-Rob once again. And then Emmanuel Forbes Jr., you might remember him, a former first-round cornerback pick of the Ron Rivera regime, went a pick ahead of Christian Gonzalez, which has lived to haunt us. However, Forbes appears to be on the way to turning around his NFL career. He made the Los Angeles Rams 53-man roster, and according to @HoldenCantor on Twitter, which is a Rams fan account, a popular account, 20-something thousand followers, he said that Forbes is in contention for a starting spot. He's put on some muscle and has impressed coaches during training camp. Once again, Forbes never did anything wrong during his Commander's career. He didn't perform at the level that was hoped for or expected as a first-round pick, but never did anything bad, never did anything negative personally. Even in that Hail Mary game where Jaden throws the Hail Mary against the Bears, he's going around picking the Bears players up off the field. And when they're sitting there in despair, he's the one who's being a good sport about it. So once again, shout out to Emmanuel Forbes, and hopefully he is able to turn around his NFL career. That would be pretty cool for him. But guys, that's going to do it for this video. Like I mentioned, on my way down to Georgia today, I will try to give you updates as I can throughout this coming week. It might be a little dicey. You also notice my background will change, but I do promise to still be active on the channel. So if you guys do appreciate that, and if you are happy about the season getting closer and closer, do hit the like button. That's the easiest way you can support me. Hit the subscribe button if you're new around here. Go to the comment section. Let me know your thoughts on everything I said. And as always, I'll catch you in the next one. Have a great day.